They brought hell, but humanity unleashed a terror. The sky turned red on a Tuesday morning. No one knew why at first. People looked up from their work and their walks. They pointed and took pictures with their phones. News stations broke into regular shows. Strange lights in the sky, they said. Peter Hayes saw it all from his office at the Global Defense Center. He was the commander of Earth's small space fleet. Just 12 ships, not very big and not very strong. They were made to explore, not to fight. "What are we looking at?" Peter asked, his voice steady despite the worry in his chest. Susan Kelly, his second-in-command, shook her head. "Unknown, sir. They just appeared. No warning from our sensors." On the big screen in front of them, 7 massive shapes moved through space. Each one was bigger than a city. They were black and rough like rocks pulled from the sea, but they moved with purpose, not like rocks at all. "Get me the president," Peter said, his eyes never leaving the screen. At the same time, far away on the moon, Dr. Olivia Martinez was seeing the same thing. The Lunar Research Station had the best view of the visitors. Olivia watched through the station's powerful telescope. "Are you recording this?" she asked her team. They nodded, faces pale. Olivia wasn't just afraid, she was curious. She had studied the idea of alien life for 20 years. Now it was here, and something felt wrong. "Listen to this," said Joe Green, her assistant. He played a sound from the station's radio dish. It was a series of clicks and hums, not random but not making sense either. "They're talking to each other," Olivia said. She felt cold despite the warm air in the station. "Run it through the computer. Let's see if we can understand." Back on Earth, things were getting worse. The alien ships had moved closer. Now they hung over major cities: New York, Beijing, London, Cairo, Sydney, Rio, and Moscow. Peter Hayes was in the middle of a video call with world leaders. None of them knew what to do. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to try talking. "Need to stay calm," the U.S. president said. "We'll send a message of peace." Peter wasn't sure that was the right move, but he kept quiet. He had a bad feeling about these visitors. 3 hours later, Peter's bad feeling got worse. The United Nations had set up a special meeting. Representatives from every country were there. They planned to welcome the aliens and start talks. The aliens had sent down a small ship. It landed right outside the UN building in New York. A door opened and 3 tall figures stepped out. They were not what anyone expected. They had 6 limbs and moved like insects. Their skin was hard and gray. Where faces should be, they had clusters of small red eyes and moving parts that looked like tiny arms. The UN Secretary General stepped forward, arms open. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "We come in peace and friendship." The aliens didn't respond. They raised devices in their upper limbs. Bright blue light shot out. The UN building exploded. In seconds, it was gone. Thousands of people died instantly. Around the world, people watched in horror on their screens. Peter Hayes slammed his fist on his desk. "Get our ships in the air," he ordered. "Now." But it was too late. The aliens hit Antarctica with some kind of heat beam. The ice cap began to melt in minutes. Water levels rose. Coastal cities around the world started to flood. Then came the message. It appeared on every screen, every phone. The words were in English and many other languages. "Surrender or be eliminated. You have 1 Earth Day to decide." Governments tried to fight back. They sent missiles and planes. Nothing worked. The missiles exploded before they got close to the alien ships. The planes lost power and fell from the sky. Olivia Martinez was still on the moon, working fast. Her team had made progress with the alien language. "They call themselves the Krajen," she told Peter when she finally got through on the emergency channel. "And Peter, they're not here to make friends. Based on what we've translated, they see us as resources like cattle." Peter closed his eyes. "Tell me something useful, Olivia. How do we fight them?" "I don't know yet," she said. "But I found something odd. Their language has no words for fear or terror. None. It's like they've never felt it." Peter didn't know why that mattered, but he filed it away in his mind. The next day, Earth's governments refused to surrender. The Krajan attacked. They sent down thousands of smaller ships and troops. The aliens moved like a wave across cities and towns. Peter Hayes escaped the defense center just before it was destroyed. He took what people he could and headed for the old bunkers under Chicago. The city above was in ruins, but the deep tunnels beneath it were safe for now. A month later, half the world was under Kresian control. They built huge processing centers. People were taken there and never seen again. Peter built a resistance network, small groups fighting back however they could. It wasn't much, but it was something. "We need a real weapon," he told his team in the dim light of their underground base. "Something that can hurt them." "Regular weapons don't work," said Frank Ward, an old soldier who had joined them. "Their armor is too strong." "Then we find something else," Peter said. "Something they're not ready for." That night he got a message from Olivia. The lunar station had stayed hidden from the aliens so far. Her message was short. "I'm coming to Earth. I think I found their weakness. It's us. It's something about us that scares them." Peter read the message twice. He didn't understand. How could humans scare creatures with such powerful technology? It didn't make sense. But for the first time since the Red Sky Day, he felt a small spark of hope. The Kresian had brought hell to Earth, but maybe, just maybe, humanity could unleash something worse. They brought hell, but humanity unleashed a terror. 6 months passed since the aliens first came. Earth was a different place now. Cities lay in ruins, forests burned, the oceans rose from the melted ice caps. Half of all people were gone, taken to the processing plants or killed fighting back. Olivia Martinez made her way through the ruins of what was once Chicago. The trip from the moon had been dangerous. She had stolen a small ship and barely escaped the Kresian patrols. Now she was close to finding Peter Hayes and his resistance group. She carried a small bag with her research notes and a strange device she had built on the moon. It was their only hope. The entrance to the underground bunker was hidden in an old subway station. 2 guards stopped her, guns ready. "I'm Dr. Martinez from Lunar Station," she said. "Peter Hayes is expecting me." They searched her and took her down, deep below the city. The tunnels were full of people, survivors who had nowhere else to go. Some were injured. All looked tired and scared. Peter waited in what they called the war room. It was just an old maintenance office with maps on the walls. He looked thinner than when Olivia had last seen him. His eyes had dark circles under them. "You made it," he said, standing to greet her. "I was starting to worry." "It wasn't easy," she said, "but I had to come. What I found is too important." Peter called his top people into the room. Frank Ward, the old soldier, Lisa Chen, who had been a police officer, Eric Brown, who knew the city tunnels better than anyone, and a few others who led resistance cells in other parts of the city. Olivia opened her bag and took out her notes and the device. 3 months ago, we captured a small scout ship that crashed near the lunar station," she explained. "There was a dead Kresian inside. I was able to study its brain." She showed them pictures of the alien's strange insect-like head with its cluster of eyes. "Their brains are very different from ours. They evolved on a world without predators. They've never had to feel fear." "So what?" Frank asked. "They don't get scared. How does that help us?" "Because they can feel fear," Olivia said. "They just never have before, and their systems can't handle it." She turned on her device. It made a high-pitched sound that made everyone in the room feel uncomfortable. "This is a frequency that affects their neural systems. It's close to the sound humans make when they scream in fear. When I tested it on samples from the dead alien, it caused a complete neural collapse." Peter leaned forward, suddenly interested. "You're saying we can hurt them with sound?" "Not just any sound. Specific frequencies that match human fear responses. It overloads their systems." "That's why we need to test it," Olivia said. "On a live subject." The group was quiet for a moment. Then Eric spoke up. "I know where we can find one. They have a small outpost 2 miles from here. Just 3 or 4 guards usually." Peter looked at each person in the room. "This could be dangerous. If it doesn't work, they'll track us back here." "We have to try," Lisa said. We're running out of options. The next day, Peter led a small team toward the alien outpost. Olivia came too, carrying her sound device. They moved quietly through empty streets, hiding whenever a Krajan patrol ship flew overhead. The outpost was in what used to be a police station. 2 Krajan guards stood outside. They were tall, with their 6 limbs and hard gray bodies. They carried weapons that could turn a human to ash in seconds. "Remember," Olivia whispered. "When I turn this on, we need to watch carefully. If it works, they should collapse quickly." Peter nodded. "And if it doesn't, we run. Split up and meet back at point B." Olivia took a deep breath and turned on the device. At first, nothing happened. The sound was barely audible to human ears, just a faint, high-pitched tone. Then one of the Krajan guards twitched. It dropped its weapon and grabbed at its head with 4 of its limbs. The second guard did the same. They made clicking sounds that the humans had never heard before. "It's working," Olivia whispered. Both aliens fell to the ground. Their bodies shook and cracks appeared in their hard outer shells. Dark fluid leaked out. After a minute, they stopped moving. The team approached carefully. "Are they dead?" Eric asked. Peter poked one with his gun. It didn't move. "Looks like it." "We need to take one back," Olivia said. "I need to study the effect more closely." They worked quickly to load one of the dead aliens onto a cart they had brought. Just as they finished, they heard a sound from inside the building. Another Krajan came out. It saw its dead companions and raised its weapon. Before it could fire, Olivia turned the sound device to maximum power. The effect was immediate. The alien dropped its weapon and fell, its body twisting in what looked like pain. But something else happened too. The device began to smoke. "It's overloading," Olivia shouted. The device exploded in her hands. She dropped it with a cry of pain. Her hands were burned, but the alien was dead. "Let's go," Peter ordered. "Now." They raced back to the bunker. The mission was a success, but Olivia's device was destroyed. "Can you make another one?" Peter asked as a doctor treated her burned hands. "Yes, but we'll need parts. And something else." She looked up at him. "We need to understand more about how their brains work. I think there's more to this than just the sound." 2 days later, they got lucky. A resistance cell in what used to be Denver contacted them. They had captured someone important, a human who had been working with the Krajan. His name was Alan West. He was a neurologist who had been studying alien brain structure in one of their labs. "They forced me to help them understand human brains," he explained when they brought him to Chicago. "But I was learning about them too." When he met Olivia and heard about the sound weapon, his eyes lit up. "That makes sense," he said. "Their neural systems never evolved to handle certain types of stimuli. Fear is completely foreign to them. It's not just the sound, it's what the sound represents." "What do you mean?" Peter asked. "I think we can do more than just hurt them." "With sound," Alan said. "I think we can terrify them, and that might be our real weapon." They brought hell, but humanity unleashed a terror. Alan West brought hope to the resistance. In the 3 weeks since he joined them, he worked day and night with Olivia. Together they built a better understanding of the Krajan and their weakness. Their species evolved as the top predator on their world, Alan explained to Peter and the other leaders. They never had to fear anything. Fear is not just new to them, it's poison to their minds. Olivia had built 3 new sound devices. They were smaller than the first one and wouldn't burn out as quickly. "But the sound alone isn't enough," she added. "Alan has a theory about making it stronger." Alan nodded. "The Krajan are connected to each other mentally. Not completely, but they share feelings and thoughts. If we can make one of them feel true terror, it might spread to others nearby." "How do we do that?" Frank asked. "We use what humans do best," Alan said. "We tell scary stories." The plan came together slowly. They would attack a Krajan base in what used to be Seattle. It was smaller than most, with only 20 aliens. The perfect test site. They gathered things they needed. Black paint, old Halloween masks, fake blood made from red dye. And they practiced making the scariest sounds they could. Screams, whispers, strange laughs. Peter wasn't sure about all this. We're going to scare them to death? With masks and noises? Not just that, Olivia said. The sound devices will hurt them physically. The rest is to create a psychological impact, to make them feel what they've never felt before. Fear isn't just physical, Alan added. It's cultural, psychological. Humans have thousands of years of horror stories. The Krajan have none. The team set out for Seattle the next day, 30 resistance fighters led by Peter. It was dangerous to move in such a large group, but they needed the numbers for what they planned. The Krajan base was in an old football stadium. The aliens had turned it into a command center. They controlled drones and patrols from there. At night, the team moved into position around the stadium. 5 people carried the sound devices. Others wore the masks and black clothes. They had painted strange symbols on their faces and hands. Remember, Peter said to everyone, once we start, we move fast. The sound will hurt them, but it won't last long. Use that time to get in, do what we planned, and get out. They attacked at midnight. The sound devices turned on, sending out the special frequency. Inside the stadium, they could hear the aliens making strange noises. The guards at the entrances fell to the ground, their bodies shaking. The team rushed in. They split into 5 groups, each heading to different parts of the stadium. They had practiced what to do. Some painted strange symbols on the walls, circles with lines through them, triangles inside squares. Others hung human-shaped dolls from the ceiling. They set up small speakers that played recordings of children laughing, people screaming, strange whispers. The Krajan were in pain from the sound, but that wasn't all. They saw the humans moving in strange ways, wearing strange faces, making marks they didn't understand. Some of the aliens tried to fight back, but they couldn't focus. Others tried to escape, only to run into more of the terrifying humans. Peter's group reached the main control room. 3 Krajan were there, already affected by the sound. One was clicking its mouthparts rapidly. Another was leaking fluid from its joints. Now, Peter ordered. His group set up the largest sound device in the room. They painted a huge symbol on the wall, a human skull with wings. They placed small speakers around the room, all playing different scary sounds. One of the aliens looked right at Peter. Its many red eyes seemed confused. It made a sound Peter had never heard from them before, something like a whine or a cry. It's working, Olivia said over the radio. They're experiencing fear. The team finished their work and left the stadium. They watched from a safe distance as something amazing happened. The Krajan ships that normally patrolled the area started to move strangely. Some flew in circles, others crashed into buildings. The aliens inside the stadium didn't come out. When a larger ship came to check on them, it left quickly without landing. They're running away, Frank said in disbelief. Not just running, Alan said. They're panicking, and they're sharing that panic with others. The next day, they returned to the stadium carefully. Inside, they found all the Krajan dead. Their bodies were cracked open, as if something had broken them from the inside. The stress was too much for their systems, Olivia explained as she examined one. Their bodies literally broke under the pressure of feeling fear. News of the Seattle victory spread quickly through the resistance network. Other cells wanted to know how to do the same thing. Peter and his team shared what they had learned. In the weeks that followed, similar attacks happened in other cities. In Boston, resistance fighters used the storm drains to project strange shadows and sounds into a Krajan base. In Miami, they set up fake human bodies that seemed to move on their own. Each attack had the same result. The aliens experienced fear. Their systems couldn't handle it, and they died or fled. It's working better than we hoped, Alan told Peter. But the Krajan leaders will adapt. They'll figure out what's happening and find a way to protect their troops. Then we need to go bigger, Peter said. Hit them where it really hurts. Olivia had been working on a new device. She called it the Nightmare Box. It combined the sound technology with images and other sensory inputs. If we can get this into one of their motherships, she said, we could affect thousands of them at once. The largest Krajan ship on Earth hovered over what used to be Washington, D.C. It was their main base where their leaders stayed. Getting inside would be nearly impossible. But Peter had an idea. "We don't need to get in," he said. "We just need to get close." He pointed to a map. "There's an old TV broadcast tower still standing near the ship. If we can get the Nightmare box up there and power it up, we might be able to reach the whole ship." It was dangerous. The area around the ship was heavily guarded, but it might be their best chance to strike a real blow against the invaders. "Let's do it," Olivia said. "We've seen what fear does to them. Let's show their leaders what terror really means. They brought hell, but humanity unleashed a terror." The mission to Washington, D.C. took weeks to plan. They needed people, supplies, and a way to get the Nightmare box to the broadcast tower without being seen. The box itself was ready. Olivia and Alan had made it stronger than any device before. It would send out not just sounds but also images, pictures of the scariest things humans had ever imagined. These would be projected into the Krajan mothership through their own communication systems. "Once they see these things, they won't understand what they're looking at," Alan explained. "Their minds will try to make sense of it and fail. And that will cause fear," Peter said, nodding. "Even more than what we've done before." The resistance groups across the country sent their best people to help. By the time they were ready, Peter had 50 fighters with him. They gathered in the ruins of a town 30 miles from Washington, D.C. "This is our chance to really hurt them," Peter told the group. "If we succeed, we might force them to leave Earth entirely." The plan was to move at night in small groups. Each would take a different path to the broadcast tower. Olivia would go with the team carrying the Nightmare box. Peter would lead the team that would clear the way and secure the tower. "Be careful," Peter told Olivia before they separated. "We can't afford to lose you." "You be careful too," she replied. "This was your idea, remember?" The journey was dangerous. Krajan patrols were everywhere. 3 times Peter's team had to hide and wait for aliens to pass. Once they were spotted and had to run for their lives. 2 of his people didn't make it. By dawn, they were within sight of the tower. It stood tall among the ruins of the city, a metal skeleton pointing up at the enormous alien ship above. The Z's mothership was like a dark cloud, miles wide, blocking out the sun. "It's bigger than I expected," Frank whispered. "Doesn't matter how big it is," Peter replied. "Fear is fear." They watched as 4 Krajan guards patrolled around the base of the tower. Using hand signals, Peter directed his team to surround the area. They had small sound devices, not powerful enough to kill but enough to stun the aliens for a short time. At Peter's signal, they activated the devices. The guards dropped to the ground, their limbs twitching. Peter's team moved in fast, using knives to finish them off. They had learned that cutting through the joint areas was the most effective way to kill the aliens quickly. "Tower secure," Peter radioed to Olivia. "Move in now." Olivia's team arrived 10 minutes later. With them was the Nightmare box, carried on a small cart. It looked like a metal cube with strange symbols all over it, symbols that Alan had designed, to be especially disturbing to the alien mind. "How long to set it up?" Peter asked. 20 minutes, Olivia replied. "We need to connect it to the tower's power system and aim it at the ship." "Make it 15, Peter said. "I don't think we have much time." He was right. As Olivia's team worked, a Krajan patrol ship appeared in the distance. It was heading their way. "Work faster," Peter ordered. "We've got company." Frank and 3 others set up defensive positions. They had stolen some Krajan weapons that fired energy blasts. Not many, and with limited charges, but they might buy some time. The patrol ship got closer. It was moving slowly, as if searching for something. "They must have found the dead guards," Peter said. "Or they're checking why the guards aren't reporting." Olivia's team worked frantically. They had the box connected to the tower now and were making final adjustments. 5 more minutes, Olivia called. The patrol ship was close enough now that they could see it clearly. It was small by Krajan standards, but still the size of a bus. Its smooth, dark surface reflected the morning light. "It's scanning the area," Frank warned. "They're going to find us any second." "Let them," Peter replied. Just keep them busy for a few more minutes. The ship stopped in mid-air, hovering over a ruined building about 100 yards away. A bright light shot out from it, sweeping over the ground. "They're looking for us," Frank said. "Get ready." The light moved closer to the tower. Peter checked his weapon. It wasn't much against a ship, but it might distract them. "Done," Olivia shouted. "The box is ready." "Turn it on," Peter ordered. "Now." Olivia pressed a sequence of buttons on the box. Lights flashed on its surface. A low hum filled the air. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the patrol ship jerked in the air as if hit by something. It spun around, then started to fly in an erratic pattern. "It's affecting them," Alan said. "The box is working." The patrol ship suddenly fired its weapons, but not at the humans. It shot into the empty air, at nothing. Then it turned and flew straight into a building, exploding on impact. "They're confused," Olivia said. "The images we're sending are making them see things that aren't there." The nightmare box hummed louder. The symbols on its surface glowed red. "Is it reaching the mothership?" Peter asked. "It should be," Olivia replied. The signal gets stronger the higher it goes. They watched the giant ship above them. At first, nothing seemed different. Then they noticed small flashes of light along its surface, like electrical discharges. "Something's happening up there," Frank said. The flashes grew more frequent. Parts of the ship started to glow red. Then, a section of the huge vessel broke away and fell toward the ground. It crashed miles away, sending up a cloud of dust. "It's working!" someone shouted. More pieces began breaking off the mothership. Some of the smaller Krajan ships that normally docked with it were flying away, moving erratically like the patrol ship had. "They're panicking," Alan said. "The fear is spreading through their entire crew." Suddenly, the ground shook. A massive explosion tore through part of the mothership. Fire and debris rained down on the city below. "We need to get out of here," Peter said, "before that whole thing comes down on top of us." As they quickly packed up their equipment, Olivia looked at the nightmare box. "We should leave this running," she said. "It'll keep affecting them even after we're gone." Peter nodded. "Set it to maximum power. Let's give them nightmares they'll never forget." They left the tower just as another explosion rocked the mothership. By the time they reached a safe distance, half the giant vessel was in flames. Krajan ships flew in all directions, some crashing, others racing away toward space. "We did it," Olivia said as they watched from a hillside miles away. "We hurt them. Really hurt them. Not just hurt them," Alan added. "We showed them something they've never known before. Fear. Real, mind-breaking fear." The mothership was falling apart. Huge sections dropped to the ground, destroying what little was left of the city below. Other parts seemed to be trying to lift off to escape back to space. "It's not just this ship," Peter said. "The fear will spread through their connection to each other, through their communications. Every Krajan on Earth will feel it." "And then?" Frank asked. "Then," Peter said, "we take back our planet." They brought hell, but humanity unleashed a terror. News spread fast across what was left of human communication networks. The Washington mothership was destroyed. In its place was a smoking ruin and thousands of dead Krajan. More importantly, the surviving aliens were acting strangely. Their ships flew in random patterns. Their ground troops abandoned posts. Some even killed themselves, smashing their bodies against walls or buildings. "It's working everywhere," Alan told Peter 3 days after their victory. "Reports are coming in from all over the world. The fear is spreading through their whole army." Resistance groups in other countries had copied the nightmare box design. They built their own and used them against Krajan bases and ships. Each success made the aliens more afraid, and that fear spread to others of their kind. "What exactly are they afraid of?" Frank asked. "Everything," Olivia explained. "They've never felt fear before, so now they're afraid of everything. Shadows sounds their own thoughts, and their connected minds are making it worse. They're sharing their fears with each other." Peter called a meeting of all the resistance leaders in their area. They gathered in the bunker under Chicago, 20 Men and women who had been fighting separate battles against the invaders. "This is our chance," Peter told them. "The Krajan are weak now, confused. We need to hit them everywhere at once." "With what?" asked Maria Lopez, who led the fighters in the western part of the city. "We still don't have weapons that can hurt. Their ships." "We have fear," Peter replied. "And now we know how to use it." They made plans to attack all the Krajan bases in the region at the same time. Not just with nightmare boxes, but with all the fear tactics they had developed. Symbols painted on walls. Strange sounds. Things moving when they shouldn't be able to move. "Make them think we have powers they don't understand," Alan suggested. "Make them think we can do impossible things." For 2 weeks, they prepared. They built more devices. They trained people to move in ways that would seem strange and frightening to the aliens. They painted symbols on clothes and skin. Then they attacked. Not just in Chicago, but in cities across America, Europe, Asia, everywhere. Humans still fought. It was the first coordinated global attack since the invasion began. Peter led the assault on the main processing center in Chicago. The huge building had once been a factory. Now it was where the Krajan took humans to be processed, killed, and their bodies used for resources. When they arrived, something was already wrong. The doors stood open. No guards watched the entrances. "Careful," Peter warned his team. "This could be a trap." They moved inside slowly, weapons ready. What they found shocked them. Krajan bodies lay everywhere. Some had wounds, but many seemed to have died without being touched. Their hard shells were cracked open, leaking dark fluid onto the floor. "They killed themselves," Olivia said as she examined one. "Or the fear killed them." They found human prisoners still alive in holding cells. Hundreds of them. Weak and scared, but alive. As Peter's team freed them, one old man grabbed his arm. "They just left us," the man said. "Yesterday they all started making strange noises. Then they began to hurt themselves, smashing their heads against walls, tearing off their own limbs. It was horrible to watch even after what they did to us." Similar reports came in from other cities. The Krajan were dying or fleeing. Their ships were taking off, leaving Earth's atmosphere in a hurry. 3 days later, Olivia made an important discovery. Using equipment from an abandoned Krajan base, she intercepted communications between their ships. "They're leaving," she told Peter. "All of them. They're telling their fleet to avoid Earth completely." Alan had been working with her to translate more of the alien language. "It's more than that," he said. "They're calling Earth something new in their language. The closest translation would be the Nightmare Place or the World of Terrors. They're afraid of our whole planet now," Olivia added. Over the next month, the last Krajan ships disappeared from Earth's skies. Their bases stood empty. Their technology remained, but they were gone. Rebuilding began slowly. The world was damaged badly. Many cities were destroyed. Millions of people were dead. But humans had survived, and now they had something new. Alien technology to study and use. Olivia led a team that examined the abandoned mothership in Washington. Much of it was destroyed, but parts remained intact. Inside, they found star maps and navigation systems. "We can learn how they traveled between stars," she told Peter when he visited her new research center. "We might be able to build our own ships someday." "How long would that take?" he asked. "Years, maybe decades, but we'll do it." Peter looked at the screens showing the alien technology. "And when we do, what then? Do we go looking for the Krajan?" "I don't think we'll need to," Alan said, joining them. "Look at this." He showed them a translated message they had intercepted from a distant Krajan fleet. "Avoid the creatures of Earth. They wield powers we cannot understand. They turn fear itself into a weapon. No Krajan ship is to approach their world again." "They're spreading the word about us," Olivia said. "Telling their entire species to stay away." "Not just their species," Alan added. "I think they're telling others too. Look at these transmissions going to different parts of space in different languages. They're warning everyone about us," Peter realized. "Telling the whole galaxy that humans are dangerous." 5 years passed. Earth slowly healed. Humans rebuilt their cities using knowledge gained from Krajan technology. They built better machines, better communication systems, better weapons, and they built ships. Small ones at first, just to explore their own solar system, then bigger ones, designed to travel to nearby stars. The first true starship was finished on the 10th anniversary of the Krajan's departure. It was built in orbit around Earth, a sleek vessel made from a mix of human and alien technology. Peter Hayes, now older but still strong, stood on the observation deck of the space station, watching as the final touches were put on the ship. Olivia joined him there. She was the ship's science officer now. Alan would be going too as the expert on alien psychology. "Are you nervous?" Peter asked her. "A little," she admitted. "We don't know what's out there, but I think we're ready for it." "More ready than the Krajan were for us," he said with a smile. The ship had a name painted on its side in large letters. Terror. Not because they planned to frighten others, but as a reminder of what had saved humanity. "The captain wants us on board," Olivia said. "Final briefing before launch tomorrow." Peter nodded. "You know, the aliens came here thinking we were weak, easy prey. They brought hell to our world. And we showed them something worse." Olivia finished. Something they'd never seen before. "Fear," Peter said. "The most powerful force in the universe, it turns out." They walked together toward the airlock that would take them to the ship. Behind them, Earth shone blue and green against the blackness of space. A beautiful world that had survived invasion and destruction. A world now known across the stars as the home of a species that had turned fear itself into a weapon. A world that had unleashed a terror greater than any hell the invaders could have imagined.